It's Saturday the 1st of June, so I'm recording this video for trading on Monday the 3rd of June. This is the dollar index. Forex markets remain pretty boring, as you can see. Well, Friday, this wasn't boring. We wiped out at least 3 days of gains, but it's boring in the sense that there's no trend to follow. So we've had a good 3 or 4 day run up, wiped out all the gains. I think the dollar was weak because stock markets collapsed, and now everyone's talking about significant rate cuts in the USA to support the economy. We'll see. In effect, that double top is still in place, of course, because we didn't manage to break it. So I guess, in effect, you could argue that there is potential further downside for the dollar index, but really I've given up trying to spot a trend on this. For me, stock markets is where all the action is, of course. I'm, pretty happy with what's been happening and how we've called it. We called the move lower. We called the bounce off the important support around the 2800, the fib level. This bounce was a little bit further than I expected, I have to admit. Anyway, where are we now? So we broke the neckline, we broke the 100-day moving average, we broke the 200-day moving average. So I've been short, I've been holding shorts, I'm still holding shorts. E-mini S&P is down to 2750. So this all looks good. Any support level of any relevance has now been broken. So hopefully you're still holding shorts with me. I've made it clear that was the plan. We've now got the end of the month. So the monthly chart for the mini S&P shows a huge engulfing candle. Look at the last time we had something like that. Let me see, what was the high here? 24, yeah. This was just about an engulfing candle. It was followed by a little bit of a bounce and then another big move down. So I don't think we will get much of a bounce, actually. We've closed the week, we've closed the month right on the low. No bounce back at all, whereas this had a little bit of a candle and we were already bouncing back. This does not look good. So assuming you're short, it does look good, and we're not even very oversold. I think we can get down as far. I think we can retest this March low before the middle of the week. 27.22, not too far away really, is it? 1% away or so. 27.17, 27.15 is some decent fib support. I certainly wouldn't be buying at any of these levels, but if you are worried about a bounce, you could take off at least half your short position. 500-day moving average at 26.90. We get below there, it's going to look pretty bad for the bulls. And pretty good for us if we're still short. On the report, I'll give you some sell levels if we bounce, which I think is unlikely, but if you're holding shorts over the weekend, and you should be, all looks good. Dow Jones, obviously the same picture, more negative if anything really. We broke the 100 and 200-day moving averages a long time ago, then we broke the neckline, then we retested the neckline, just in case you hadn't got short. That was your chance at 25.215, and Friday we plunged, so your shorts are working nicely there, and I think they will continue to work. I haven't looked at the monthly chart yet, so let's look at it together. Yeah, we got a nice, no, not quite an engulfing candle actually. The high was a little bit lower, but I could certainly argue that there is a head and shoulders pattern there. So it all looks pretty negative. Big red candle on the Nasdaq chart. Unfortunately, I can't quite call it an engulfing candle because we had a previous peak of 78, 79.50, and then this month we had 78, 72.50. So it was just below the April high, but still a big red candle, big red bodied candle. So again, broke the neckline to the head and shoulders. 100-day moving average proved to be resistance on the bounce. Broke the 200-day moving average. Closed right on the low of the week and of the month. So this looks pretty negative too. Right, Aussie dollar is showing signs of life, but we had that strong resistance level. In fact, I used that as a selling opportunity at 69.40, 69.45. Now, that's pretty much almost exactly where we topped, I think. But a short there didn't work because obviously we've closed up there. So it's just a question of whether we get through there on Monday or not. I'm not going to try and guess these Forex markets. Obviously, if the stock markets continue lower, I guess there'll be more speculation about rate cuts. So the US dollar could weaken and that could help the Aussie dollar. But it's pointless trying to second guess these markets. Just go with the price action. Break above 69.50. Well, it'll all be written in the report. New Zealand dollar hourly chart. You have to look at the short-term charts for these Forex markets because they're doing so little. 65.50, 65.55 is the only resistance that matters on the open on Sunday night. we get up through 65.60, it's going to look far more positive for the New Zealand dollar, and we could be seeing 65.85, 65.95 quite quickly. Forex traders jumping into the safety of the Japanese yen, and that coupled with the weak US dollar on speculation of rate cuts in the US from the Fed saw a huge drop in the dollar yen. So there we go. We're through any support levels of any importance whatsoever. Closed right on the month low, closed right on the weekly low. This is just going to track the stock markets basically. I'm already short stock markets. There's no point in being short dollar yen, but I think this will just move in the same way. Euro, almost a mirror image of the dollar index, of course. So a good recovery for the euro. It means we're just still in this sideways trend, and I really can't see anything that's worth any opportunity that's worth risking any money on. Put it that way. There's better things out there trading the stock markets. We do have, I guess, the best resistance. Well, it didn't really work on the downside, but we should have strong resistance at 111.85, 111.95. So in theory, above 112.00, that would be positive. If you really have to get involved in the euro, that's my best trading level, but I'm not going to touch it. Cable plunged through May and became very oversold. We've been oversold now for a couple of weeks in cable, pound versus the US dollar. Now at last we've got a pretty bullish candle. The spike lower, the hammer with the blue body, almost an engulfing, if you like, in that respect. The body engulfs the previous body. So this is a bullish sign. So if you're short, you don't want to be short anymore. I don't think it's not worth betting against it, especially with the weakness in the US dollar on speculation of rate cuts. So can we get up to 127.00, 127.05? That would be the realistic target. If we get up through there, we're looking at 27.55 and 28.00 as the next targets. Just when you think the Canadian dollar's got some direction, albeit to the downside, there you go. The bears come in and push the dollar against the Canadian lower. This chart really is just made up of these long tails. I haven't been able to get to grips with this market for a long time, so why am I even talking about it? Gold with its safe haven status rocketing on Friday. I think that's more a case of dollar weakness than piling into gold as a safe haven, but who knows, it might be. Anyway, the only resistance of any importance was around 12.97, 12.96, 12.98. We're well up through there, so I said that would be a buy signal. I said a close above 13.03 would be a buy signal. This looks pretty good for gold. I've been kind of waiting for this, and this was the false break. I thought this was the one that was going to take us higher, but for some reason we needed to come back down to 12.68. Still don't know why we bounced off there, but we did bounce. This was just so messy, as you know. I just got very confused with it all, and I still, even looking back, there's nothing to tell me why any of this happened. But last week I got back on track with gold, and I had us buying down at 12.70, mid 12.75 area anyway, 12.78, 12.77. That worked, and finally we pushed higher. So it all looks pretty good for gold. When you look at the big picture, we are in a bull trend. So this trend line, I guess, is the reason that we bottomed here. Having said I don't know why we did, I guess that trend line is the reason. So we are still in a bull trend going back to August of last year. This was just a very large bull flag, in effect. This was why I was looking for that break, but I got fooled by this break. Anyway, we had to come back and test the trend line, and then we've gone. So yeah, I think this looks really, really bullish for gold now, at last. Now, for some reason, I decided to buy silver instead of gold, which clearly wasn't the right thing to do, but I'm not worried about it. I thought that the break above the sort of low 1460 area, 1462, 1463 was a buy. So I had a stop buy order to buy at 1465. We got up to 1468 nearly, and then we come back down a little bit. I'm not too worried. I think we will push above here on Monday. I think the stocks will go lower. I think the dollar will probably continue lower. Gold certainly looks good, so gold should drag silver up. But what I need, is definitely for silver to be settling above 1460, and then in order to push higher. I think it will happen. If you're not in a position yourself, well, look, 500-hour moving averages at 1463, so above there is going to look good, and then above 1470 is a tiny little trend line, which isn't particularly relevant, but Anyway, hang on, I'm going to just redraw that actually. I think that is a little bit wrong. No, okay, I'm going to give up on that, one sec. Okay, yeah, I think that's where my trend line should be, and maybe if I'd actually drawn that, I wouldn't have got long. But, so it's clear that 1463, 1465 is the resistance area. So we get up through 1468, it's going to look good for silver. That's all I can tell you. I think it will happen, and well, I guess I'm talking my book here. I'm hoping it will happen because I managed to get myself into a long position. Okay, I think that's it really. It's really just a continuation of what I've been saying for a couple of weeks now. Good luck.